All right, welcome back to Radio Wasteland. Later on tonight for you, we have our guest Jonathan Weiss returning as we talk about crazy, mysterious, and infamous women of... Oh my gosh, what's that place with all the vampires?
New Orleans.
Narlands, yeah. But in the meantime, I'm your host, Chauncey Hallworth. This is my co-host, Kara Kittrick.
Hello.
Kara, do you have any news for us today?
Yes, I do. So on the Late Late Show, Barack Obama appeared to confirm the truth behind some aspects of UFO sightings last week, saying, quote, "The truth is when I came into office, I said, is there a lab somewhere where we're keeping the alien specimens and spaceships? The answer was no. But what is true, and I'm being serious here, is that there's footage and records of objects in the skies, and we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern." On a different interview last week, Navy pilot Ryan Graves said in an interview with CBS 60 Minutes that he and his Navy colleagues witnessed UAPs, quote, every day for at least a couple years. He has told this story before, describing how the objects could reach 30,000 feet in hypersonic speeds, yet produced no visible or infrared exhaust. Yet an interview with 60 Minutes shows that mainstream news outlets are scrambling to get information on the UFO phenomenon, as the congressional report is only weeks away. In related news, the FBI has started an investigation into an incident that occurred in February, where a Border Patrol helicopter almost collided with a, quote, heavily modified drone that could reach up to 14,000 feet, something beyond the capabilities of ordinary civilian drones. They followed the drone, but it managed to evade them. This incident occurred near Tucson, Arizona, where sightings of strange drones, whether cartel or U.S. military, have been recorded for years. And unrelated to all of that, 2 bottles of Petrius 2000 wine that spent a year in space are expected to sell for $1 million each at auction. These bottles are said to have developed a unique flavor profile while floating in the International Space Station. The proceeds of this auction will go to fund further space exploration. Back to you, Chauncey.
Okay, so a couple of years back, even when we first started doing this and up until before, this whole discussion of disclosure and getting to disclosure, at the time I was listening to tons of Richard Hoagland.
Sure.
And, I really loved this, what I considered at the time to be fantasy idea of us coming up on a government disclosure. But I have to say now that, it is a possibility. I'm seeing this as a possibility with all the more and more higher profile people coming out and talking about it. And it just, if it ends up being that we actually find something out of concrete value, I got to say this world's a lot better off than I thought we were. If we really for 3 decades could basically just as a people bitch and complain to the point where the biggest secret in possibly all of human history was given out to us in about 30, 40, 50 years from just bitching and complaining, we live in a pretty good society.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's, lots of other possibilities, right? It's not aliens or...
Of course you think there are other possibilities than us living in a good society.
Well, I just hate it when people are happy and optimistic about the future.
Totally.
Just try to clamp down on that when I can, because I was sent by the devil to destroy humanity.
I'm helping you from your own misery, Chauncey, in the future. It's better to just be unhappy now than broken in the future.
Exactly. So, I don't know. I think this is pretty crazy coming from the perspective of someone who was doing these shows in like 2017, right? And talking to all these UFO guys, and it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Disclosure is never going to happen. And, this does not meet the definition of disclosure or whatever with a capital D, but it's way more than I ever thought would happen. Like,
it just brings it into the realm of possibility. Where
it really does.
Yeah.
So, and I still don't know what to make of any of this. It's worth noting that none of these agencies are saying, it's aliens yet, but they are saying, like, they aren't offering any alternative explanation, really. like they're saying, maybe it's some other country, but that as an explanation makes very little sense. So
I think it's Wakandans. I'm into it.
it could be Wakandans.
I
But
would be prouder if it was Wakandans.
if it
Frankly,
was
it's like
Wakandans, that would be better than aliens,
right because we'd be all
we
thank
could,
God it was us this whole time. It was other humans. We're able to do this. But if it's aliens, we're gonna get stomped under the boot.
yeah, I mean, maybe if it's aliens, they've been here for decades and decades and have done literally nothing really, apart
Yeah, well, I
from
mean, they've taken people
maybe
and
like taking some
probed them
people. Yeah,
and melon ball scooped their skin and stuff.
yeah. So I'm just saying, if it's aliens, I don't think our life is gonna change all that much.
Yeah.
I think it'll be crazy, but like, what does it matter if it's aliens if you can't talk to them or look at their stuff? If you can't,
Yeah.
if it's just going to indefinitely remain in the realm of, we saw this crazy object, but it was 40 miles away in the sky and it vanished after 14 seconds.
Yeah, well, maybe they're here for blue jeans and McDonald's, and it'll tear down the wall just like Russia.
Yeah, we can only hope.
Before moving on, though, I do have to throw in that I realize that if it does end up being the Wakandans, first thing that I want asked at the news interview is, so why the anal probing? If you are other humans, why is this going on? All right.
They'll
the
just
border
be like, oh, that wasn't us. We don't know who it was. It wasn't
the border
us.
helicopter, I can straight up tell you, is not aliens. It's got to be cartels,
Absolutely.
coyotes, smugglers trying to figure out ways to get over the border silently.
Yeah, but that's also near like a bunch of military bases. So, like, a drone able to reach those heights would be a pretty crazy drone. So, but then again, these cartels are, big organizations.
Oh, I guess it could be other countries doing spy missions.
Yeah, exactly. See, this is why I think it's interesting, because this is exactly the type of sighting that would get reported as UFO sightings if they hadn't like seen the drone up close, So it's odd. Maybe there is, more advanced drone technology out there, but this is still a far cry from like the stuff capabilities displayed by like the Tic Tac UFO.
Right. And then finally, 2 bottles of space wine.
Space wine.
Yeah, that makes me think of like the best sequel to Sideways. Somewhere between Sideways and The Thing. We'll get Paul Giamatti back, Thomas Hayden Church, Sandra Oh, and I forget who the other girl was that was in it. Virginia Madsen, maybe. Yeah, great sequel. Great sequel right there. Somewhere between Jake Gyllenhaal in that Life movie and Sideways.
So is this going to be like the wine has alien parasites or whatever?
Yeah, who wants space wine? Why do you want that? What are you going to do with it?
I don't know.
That just proves we're Morlocks, Kara, and those are Eloy. The only people who would want space wine are Eloy because they want it for whole reasons that have nothing to do with anything that we could comprehend.
Elon Musk, more like Eloy Musk.
Yeah, Eloy Musk, totally. Did you see him on SNL?
No.
It was awkward.
Yeah.
To say the least.
I can only imagine.
All right, coming up next here, we're talking about Haunted New Orleans with Jonathan Weiss. This is his second time on the show. First time it was a broad spectrum. This time we're talking about the ladies. And there's a lot of history, man. The Street Gang one is interesting. So come on back. You're listening to Radio Wasteland.